Hello everyone and welcome to the latest video on my channel. So this video is going to be about long division, which means that this is going to work really well with the first section of the long division chapter of Hard Math for Elementary School. So basically you should be watching this video if you are learning long division and you just need a little bit of a recap on how to set the whole thing up and how to do the division itself. We're going to be doing two division problems today, and we're starting with this one. 3,948 divided by 7. So to start off, I need to set this up correctly. And to do that, I'm going to actually put my 7 on the on the left of my paper, and then I'm going to kind of draw this thing with a line here and one horizontal as well. And underneath that, I'm going to put 3,948. Okay, now it's time to do the division itself. First up, I have to see how many times 7 is going to fit into 3, which is my first digit here. That answer is, of course, 0. You cannot fit 7 into 3. And so I'm going to put a 0 above the 3 there. Next up, I'm going to pull in that hundreds digit and think about how many times 7 fits into 39. 7 fits into 39 5 times. So I'm going to put a 5 up above my 39, my 9 of the 39 right there. And then I'm going to subtract off 7 times 5, which is 35. I'm basically taking those 5 7s away from 39. And when I do the subtraction, of course, my answer is 4. I'm now going to bring this digit down in here, which is the 4, and so I'm going to make this a 44. Now I'm thinking about how many times 7 is going to fit into 44. The answer to that is 6, and so I'm going to take away 6 7s from 44, which is 42. So now I'm going to do 44 minus 42, which is 2. And finally, I'm going to bring down this 8 here to make 28. And how many times does 7 fit into 28? That's going to be 4 times, and that actually fits in evenly for us. So we subtract off 28 and we end up with 0. So now we know the answer to this problem that we had up above. 3,948 divided by 7 is equal to 564. You don't have to include that little 0 there at the beginning. That's just a placeholder. All right, here is our second division question that's going to have a little bit of a twist to it. Before I set this up, I want to ask if you guys can notice anything about these two numbers. Do you think you can predict anything about the answer to this problem just from looking at these numbers? Well, I'm going to tell you something that I could predict, which is that 5 does not go evenly into 12,752. If I had 12,752 cookies and I wanted to give an even number to 5 people, I couldn't do that. That is not a multiple of 5 because it doesn't end in a 0 or 5. All multiples of 5 end in 0 or 5, and clearly 12,752 doesn't. We're going to do the question anyway, and we're going to see what we end up with. Set it up the same way as the last one, where we put the 5 on the left, and then we put 1, 2, 7, 5, 2 in here. So how many times does 12 fit into 1? We know that's 0. Next up, how many times does 5 fit into 12? That is 2, with 2 5s being 10, which is what we subtract off from 12. We do that subtraction, we get 2, and we're going to bring down this 7. How many times does 5 fit into 27? That is 5 times, and 5 times 5 is 25. We do our next subtraction and we get 2 again. And we're going to bring down this 5 in here, and we end up with 5 fitting into 25, 5 times exactly. I'm going to subtract off a 25 and we get to 0. Now we have one more digit to bring down, which is this 2. So now we're left with the question of how many times does 5 fit into 2? Obviously, we know that that answer is 0. However, we can't just be done right there. Because no, it does not fit into 2 any number of times. However, that 2 is still going to be important to us. So the way that we would write this, if we don't end up with a 0 in this last step like we did in our previous problem, is up here we have to write something called remainder 2. So what that means is that if I were dividing up these 12,752 cookies to 5 people, all of the 5 people, each one of them would get 2,550 cookies. However, I would have 2 left over. And those 2 are my remainder. Now, with the 2 left over, there's a couple things I could do. I could just keep them myself, in which case we would just say that the answer is 2,550 remainder 2. Or, since cookies are able to be split, I could try to split up those 2 cookies evenly among the 5 people. This is where we have to use fractions a little bit to say that this could also be expressed as 2,550 and 2/5. So if I really wanted to give away all of my cookies, which, let's face it, I don't, each person would be receiving 2,550 and 2/5 cookies.